Hey, what's up, y'all? We broadcasting live. We got the great Uma on there, making her transition from what we call the spiritual world into the world of reality. You know, she has some things that we was talking about. I said, it's better for you to go ahead and put this out there because it's gonna be other people that's gonna be feeling like you feeling about what's going on. But I'm gonna put it together. And I'm gonna show you what it is. But go ahead. What you talking about? You was feeling. You say you was watching the plays, the foundation of the pimp world and the hoes and the things that they were saying, and you was feeling bad about it. But I'm gonna know. I'm gonna let you elaborate it on for the people.
Yeah, thank you very much. I welcome any opportunity that there becomes arises that is right on a subject that's not always understood, and I welcome it being explained to me because if it's explained to me, it's explained to everyone. I was watching the other night about some things on YouTube, and it was about pimps, and there were uh, there was a pimp ball, and the pimp ball was elaborate in their sense of the word, every sense of the word as far as they were concerned. They had on these elaborate suits and these overblown hats with fur, and they had on these long fur coats, and they had the glasses on at night, and they had the gold teeth, and they were just strutting their stuff. And the women, some of them had their women with them, their hoes with them, and they were the women were with them, and the women were elaborate in their little get-ups, and they were very tastefully dressed, I thought, and but they were there in uh, picking up for their pimps, and the pimps were boasting. You know, if you have this and you have that, you got this, and man, I got this much, and to me it looked like that. I looked at several, about 4 or 5 videos of that, and when I stopped looking at them, it left a distaste in my mouth because the men were boasting, and in actuality, from what I know, from what I am, from what I see, the women made them what they are, who they are. And I said, well, now it's time for, it's not time for us to boast like that, because we know who we as women, the men with the wombs, know who and what we are. Well, at least I do. And I'm setting out to, with the help of, wait a minute, my pimp.
Thank you. I mean, you've been talking like the world is yours without me being here or nothing. I'm like saying she just babbling on. Well, actually, that's how we do. See, we hear the man. Let me tell you about the pimps. I'm going to tell you about the pimps right now. The pimps is here to manage you and to protect you. You see, and that's what we do. And sometimes in managing protection, we have to make a better picture. We become the targets. We become the targets because we become the ones that the society, the governing people, they're the ones that are gonna come after us. They're not gonna come after you. You're doing the work, and the whole thing about the whole game is survival. It's about survival. I don't care how many minks you got, how much gold teeth you got. I don't care how many watches you got, whatever. It's all about survival. And that was the main thing, the survival. Now the survival, once we were in a survival mode, and that was the foundation, that's why I give big props to all the pimps, all the hoes, because they was the motivating force. It was not those that was sitting at the bargaining table call themselves congressmen, because the word con is the word con. I mean, everybody know what a con is. And the Congress
Right.
is not to be progress. So we know it wasn't the congressman that was doing it. It was them hoes out there, right? We give them the props that was sucking up on them, that was rubbing them down, that was jerking them off, and doing everything for that money. But that wasn't even the money. It was for the things that we had to do. So when everybody else was that was conformed to the system went to sleep, They didn't know that that was the beginning of the new day. And that means it was time for us to get out there in the dark with our natural vision, in the dark, doing what we had to do, doing what they had to do. So as far as protecting, we
Nah.
was if we was to say, well, the women was this and it was all about them, then they would be the ones
Well,
that's out there getting in problems. Then
well,
that's the
let me let
foundation.
me let,
But go ahead.
let me let me interject. Thank you, Big Pimp. Uh, let me interject this. I understand, and I know. I understand. I am aware of the fact and the point that the women, as they're getting, the men are the protectors of the women, of the hoes that get out there, that the whole women that get out there and do what they got to do while everybody else is asleep in the new day. That's the absolute truth. It's a new day, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock a.m., 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on. That's the beginning of the new day. And they make the streets, believe it or not, as bad as the streets really is, or really is, as bad as the streets are now, they would be how much more worse if the women did not get off and blow and jerk and intimate with the perverts that's out there. Also, but they also do it, I understand, in offices and in elaborate parties and of the congressmen. I understand that. It still left me with, well, it's okay. So then it's okay. You explained it. It's okay that the pimps that get out there and protect the women throw themselves a party. Actually, and elaborate on this for me, if you will. Some of the pimps that were on the videos that I saw, and I looked at it objectively, and I came out with not a decision, but an outlook on it. After I saw some of the pimps, not many, a couple of them boasted on, if that hoe get out of line, then you address her. That's not the one. By strike.
Well, actually, she's saying that if the hoe get out of line, that you strike them. And like I said, that's the mentality of certain pimps. From the school that I'm from the order of Gabriel, and we don't have to hit our hoes, because our hoes are spiritual hoes. And they the whole thing. When we say hoe, we saying from the word theos. Theos is the mean deity. That means they are the gods. Those are the ones that the creators on earth. So we're coming with a whole new twist to the game, you see. And it was taught about, and it was told about. First of all, this whole family is basically a sacred and secret organization. Even though people will get out there in the pimp world, they think that they can just do what they want to do and make money. But that's not the issue. The whole issue, like I said, is about survival and bringing in the spirits back to the neighborhoods, to the communities, or whatever kind of division that they want to call and control in this capitalistic society. And I'm revving pimping the hoes, and what I'm doing is I'm changing the game from the way the women think, from the hoes, the way they think and what they do, as far as not disrespecting their pimp, but teaching their pimp, because all pimps is man-child, and they all come from the women. They come from the hoes, the whole thing. They come from the zero. They come from the circle, and like I said, they're the first. The first represent the protection. The first. The word first was the first word first was the fierce, and they was the protectors of their womb. So there's a lot of things that's been done, and if anyone want to go back in the past, as I would call it, because there really is no past, because today is the day, yesterday is yes today, and is always today. If those who want to wander off in thought, you see, in the quantum theory, what they call the past, and worry about what they're doing now or what they did before, that just to me is a defense that's put up You see, that's defense on both sides. That was defense from the pimps who said they're going to do this and do that in their ignorance. Some of them did that in their intelligence, and some of them did that because that's what was the tradition of the way things was going in the past, or what we call as the timeline. I'd rather say timeline than the past. But now, like I said, I put the article and I said pimp, positive information making progress. I put pimp, I put priest, I put P for priest, I put I in pimp for imam, I put M and priest for minister, and I put P again for preacher. So these people are also pimps and basically taking the money, and they selling you a dream. Now, anytime you dreaming, you actually not in the frame of mind that you need to be. You're not in the reality. You in a subconscious reality. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time when you dream, you're sleeping. And if you sleep, you slept. And if you slept, you got. And if you got, that's it. You know, so we trying to put everybody on point, letting them know what they do and who is who on the planet Earth. And yes, you going through, that's the same thing that's going through. If you go through the Bible, you're going to see a lot of misinterpretations by King James, because he used the Bible to rule his people. He also was a pimp, you know, and he used the Bible to rule his people. But when we got here, or through slave, or whatever people want to say their circumstances is, the whole thing was that you needed a reference point. You needed something to give you to spark you up, SP to the ARK. And that spark, SP to the ARK, is the light for you to see when you was in darkness and didn't have the road or the path to get back to who you are. Now that you know who you are, now you turning around and discuss and looking at the things, but you have to look at what happened and appreciate each and every one of them, because even that they didn't know, which you know now, learning from the big pimp and Theos, right? But what you got to realize is that they had the heart, so that means those were the true people of faith. You see, even though they didn't know the way, you see, they didn't know the way that you now know, right? It's just they kept the continuation of going on. Imagine if there was nobody out there that was opposing the so-called rules that these people was putting up. Imagine the people wasn't no people opposing the rules. Out there at night doing things, we would not be where we are today. It would be no. They put Martin Luther King. The reason why they say Martin Luther King, because the first Martin Luther, that's who they talking about. They're not talking about Martin Luther King Jr. They talking about the first Martin Luther King, which what he did, he offset the Catholics, right, and started his own thing, which he protested, anti-disestablishment, but it's still coming out the Catholic book. It's still coming out 325 AD, the Nicene Council. It's still coming out the same teachings, and that the same things that the Catholics did. They went and they started killing all the disciples. They started killing all the true Hebrews. The Jews, they don't speak Hebrew. The Jews speak Yiddish. Yiddish is a conglomeration of grunts and growls that from the Amorites, or what they call the Europeans. Europeans from roped off because they had leprosy. They was roped off, and what they place called was a place of fire where they worshipped the fire. It was cold, and they worshipped the fire that kept them well, and they slept with their dogs, and that's why they had they God, or GUARD, GOD, which is GOG, which is God. So back to, not to take you off, I just want to give you a little history about what's going on, but at the same time, the things that was happening in what you seeing now is just a reference point of the things that you know in a brighter light. So you cannot let that discourage you from doing what you got to do. Because if anything, you should have been angry at the system and why they had to do those things. And the ignorance. You got to remember this. Before when they was reading a book, they would kill you if they caught you with a book. If they caught you writing, they would kill you. So we've come a long ways in everything that we done when we did not have the intellect, right? The light of the intellect that's now turned on by the SPA to the ARK spark, right? And you have to appreciate that and don't get angry. You're getting angry not at them people who did it. You're getting angry at the system that made them do that. I hope you could, if you listen to this a couple of times, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. But anyway, go ahead. Before you go
And
ahead, we done passed our mark, and I hope